What is happening, people? Welcome back to Scarfy Spurs Talk. In today's YouTube Live, we're going to be talking about Spurs transfer news such as Bryan Gil, Emerson, but also going to be talking about top stories today such as Premier League football potentially being played outside the UK and even David Pleat leaving Spurs after a decade of service at the club. So do stay tuned to the very end. But if you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. It's free to do so and it helps the channel and the podcast grow. That'd be massively appreciated. And do get involved throughout today's live because we're very, very keen to get your opinion as always. So we will crack straight into it. I want to start with David Pleat, who's been a scout at Tottenham since 2010, who today has decided to step away from his role. Chairman Daniel Levy said, "I should like to thank David for his contribution over so many years and in so many different ways he had, and I continue to have an incredible knowledge encyclopedia of the game and the players. I know that he will continue enjoying our games at all levels." David Pleat, the man himself, said, "Football is my life and continues to be. Spurs has been a huge part of that. However, the game and its methods change. It's time for me to now step back from my scouting role. I look forward to watching the club have great success in the coming years. I hope to continue my association with the game." And David's first involvement with Spurs came in May 1986 when he was appointed manager. In his debut season, he led us to third place finish in the old First Division and reached the FA Cup finals, to give you an idea of how important this guy is in history. So we do wish him all the best. His job since 2010 has been in that scouting department. Previously, obviously, I mentioned their interim manager, etc., and also sporting director, managing director at some point. But he leaves as scout today of Spurs. So I wish David and his health absolutely all the best. I wish him all the best, whatever he decides to do. His service has been fantastic and will be greatly missed. Obviously, a lot of it was before my time that I didn't see, but you can see and you hear that Daniel Levy speak about the impact he's had. Positive impact it's had on the club. We will move on, though, to our next story, which is Bryan Gil. A lot of people are interested in this. The latest news is from Fabrizio Romano, who said Bryan Gil is in Girona today as planned. New deal signed at Tottenham, 15 million release clause he's got in that contract with us, and he has a loan move to Girona until June 2025. So they've got that option. They get that priority buy for that 15 million euros. It's a surprising deal. I think we all thought we'd see him leaving a loan and maybe even a permanent, but we didn't see him signing up a new contract. It makes sense because we'd only be able to, I think, get close to 5 million for him now. Whereas signing him up on a contract, Bryan Gil, it means that if he impresses, we have a chance to get him 15 million euros for him. So it is a clever deal if you think about it, but it's another loan. It's a player that goes out for another loan. And if that's the problem with Spurs, it's signing the wrong players and bad deals. We paid Seville 25 million, gave away Lamela in return. And then, Bryan Gil were going off 15 million euros, get priority buy. And Lamela was worth more on that. So that is a poor signing. Lamela was a fan favourite. So I think that's for a lot of Spurs fans' frustration. And I could be wrong, but it's the fact that Lamela went the other way and we paid 25 million. So, and it's really frustrating. I don't think the Premier League's right for Bryan Gil. I think that this is the right move for him in the Liga. I think that this really suits him at Girona, and I think they will sign him permanently. I just don't think he's ready for the Premier League. I don't think that he's done enough personally, like to bulk up or to be ready for the Premier League. But we'll have to see what happens. But we're expecting an announcement in the next 24 hours or so. But that is the latest update from Fabrizio Romano. Next, I want to move on to the prospect of Premier League games played outside the UK. If you follow me on any socials, whether it be X, TikTok, Instagram, etc., you'll know recently that I've had a dig at Mark Goldbridge, who has supported the idea, or not rejected, should I say, the idea of Premier League games being played outside of the UK. And this is coming from, no disrespect, but an armchair fan who doesn't support his local club. And for me, I just don't think it's right. You're all entitled, everyone's entitled to an opinion, but I don't think it'd be the right move for the Premier League to do that. I don't think it's fair on the match-going fan, who, especially those who work all week. It just isn't fair, and it's not the right way to do it, and they'd lose a core, supporters, if you like. But what we'll say is Mark Goldbridge did say that is if the 3 p.m. blackout is removed, which I think the 3 p.m. blackout should be removed. I think it's an absolute myth that lower teams will be affected and all this rubbish that you hear. Their attendance will be lower, and that's not true. I don't believe that. Back in the day, yes, not now. I don't think that's even the slightest of a problem. So yes, the 3 p.m. blackout needs to be scrapped, but the games have to remain in the Premier League. And anyone who cares about football, cares about the fans, will say exactly the same. And I don't necessarily name them. We've heard it from a lot of people who it doesn't affect them. So, I personally, myself, stand strongly against the idea of them being played outside the UK. But if you have a different opinion, you agree with me, I don't mind. Get involved in the comments below because I'm very interested to hear your thoughts. It's just ironic when it comes from someone like Mark Goldbridge. It doesn't affect him at all. And he has the audacity to sit here and go, why are people moaning about it? Well, Mark, that's because most people work all week and now won't be able to go and support their club. You're taking that away from them. You're adding expense to it, and you're affecting their work as well. So it's just wrong. And I don't think people like Mark Goldbridge should even be able to speak about it in his position. But there we go. That's cool. Mark Goldbridge, by the way, is someone who gets paid and has got paid over the years for shouting at his game, whether it be FIFA or some silly game that he does. He puts on a fake face and gets angry and makes money. And that's one thing that I will never do. And we will never do at the channel. We're honest. And as simple as that. I think he's a disgrace. But that's what I think. But do get involved in the comments below. I want to go to the comments. Big up Barney, says big up to the channel. Harry, everyone follow this channel. Absolutely. That'd be fantastic if you could. Big up Lois, admin of the Scarfy Spurs page over on X, and massive addition to the channel. So Lois, I always say this to you, he's an asset. You're an asset. It's great to have you on board. And thank you very much for being in the chat. Could never imagine a game away from the cottage. It just wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be right. It would affect the clubs in a negative way. There's just very few positives behind it. Some people go, oh, MBA, etc. But that's different where it originated, and that's just completely different. The time of year it is, the time of games. It just Premier League being played out the UK. It means a lot of fans can't go and support their team anymore, and that's the reality. And it is just wrong. And I just can't support it. And as I said, the people are supporting it, like Mark Goldbridge, who doesn't put up a valid argument at all. And as I said before, he makes money out of shouting at his games. So I think his opinion is irrelevant. Yeah, big up everyone in the chat. Lois completely agrees. I do want to hear your comments and thoughts below. But for now, we will move on to the next story. And that is a player that we've signed, finally some transfer activity, and that is Yang Min Hoi. And that is Tottenham have confirmed the signing of Yang Min Hoi on a deal that runs until June 2030. This is from the club. He will join in January 2025 after the conclusion of the K-League season, which, by the way, is 25 games into their season. So people think of what? The season does end in January. Their time is different to ours. I think, obviously, I don't know that much about him, but it's clearly one for the future. I really like that there's two sides of this, by the way. So do stay tuned. First bit is that we're thinking about the future, and I have no doubt 2, 3, 4 years time, however long it will take, the future is bright, and I think we'd be fighting in a lot of different competitions and really close the gap on other teams. We hear news like Pep Guardiola leaving at the end of next season. It's exciting for Spurs fans. If this youth turns out to be as good as we think it is, it's easy to say. Spurs fans get carried away about your own youngsters you don't really know. It's easy. Man United will easily get carried away with Kobbie Mainoo. Newcastle will easily get carried away with Lewis Miley. They're not necessarily wrong or right. It's whether they prove themselves, etc. So that'd be interesting to see how that pans out. But yet the 18-year-old has had a really good season, had a really good 2024, really, really good pre-season. And everything you look is positive. And not many people like this, but I think for an off-the-pitch view, it makes sense. From if I put my Daniel Levy head on, or my, should I say, business head on Tottenham Hotspur Club, it brings in money because we know that Son's not getting any younger. I don't think he's finished. He's washed up. I don't believe he's getting worse at all. I don't believe any of that. I think some players improve with age. Again, I'm not saying he's improving, but I think that Son's still got life left in him. But when he does leave, we've got that South Korean fans kept here, which are really, really important. They drive money into the club. They spend a lot of money. They go in the club shop. They spend hundreds, if not thousands. They pay a lot for their tickets on the day as well. So they're very, very important for the club to keep. So I think that's fantastic. And what he can bring to Spurs remains unclear, but he's a hard worker, he's a finisher, and everything you see looks really, really good. So I'm looking forward to him joining. Big up in the chat to Regex Sports Agenda. Barney says on our previous topic it would devalue the league. I think it would. The Premier League would lose all respect. Next, I want to move on to Emerson Royal, who, this is for Fabrizio Romano, is expected to join AC Milan from Tottenham this week. There's one more round of talks set to take place today. Actually, apparently they're ongoing with AC Milan, and we're expected to get the green light in this week at some point, sometime between Monday and Friday. And AC Milan are confident to get that green light. And Emerson Royal is a priority for AC Milan. This is from Fabrizio Romano, a little bit reported from yesterday, and also a lot reported throughout this morning going into this afternoon. Another source to kind of back this up, Paul O'Keefe, on Emerson Royal's potential move to AC Milan. He took to X yesterday to say if the structure of add-ons that needs to be resolved, around 3 million, which Spurs believe are too difficult, once they've been sorted, it will happen. So the question really here is, are Spurs right? Is it the right thing to do to hold out for extra 2-3 million? Or is it a case of you just accept, you get them out the door, and we get on with business? Because we all sit here as fans, and rightly so, and go, oh, we want these players. We pay top prices. This is all true, but also you need to shift players. You don't want the squad to be too big. Part of me thinks it depends on the offer. If we're talking 6-8 million, which was reported at the start from AC Milan, I think Spurs have a right to hold out for what they believe. But let's say it's 12, 13, 14, and close to 15 million. I do think that we have to accept it, because let's be honest with you, wherever you stand on the board, and I don't know where I stand at this moment in time, to be honest with you. Wherever you stand on that, our transfers, I think they've got better, but we've wasted a lot of money. We've wasted a lot of money, bad deals like Ndombele, money thrown away. Emerson, money thrown away. Brian Gill, that's a shocking deal. Whether you think he's a good player in there, it's a bad deal. We paid 25 million for him, traded one of our players, and then are only going to potentially get 50 million euros back, if that. And it probably won't even be that. So I think that's really, really frustrating. So it really depends what it is. I think if it is that 2-3 million, I know it's easy for us to say, but just get a player out the door, because the reality is we leave it till January, we're not going to get that from Emerson Royal. Spurs have made that mistake. Look at Højbjerg. I love the player, but we would have got, at least I think we would have got more. But to make it fair, we got 35 million a year or two ago, if not more. He was a 40 million player under Mourinho. We took too long. We kept him here under Ange, which wasn't the right thing to do. It's clear to see when he came into the club, he didn't suit the system, and we paid the price of not shifting him on. I mean, I don't know what we got for him in the end. There was a reported 11 million, maybe with add-ons goes up to 18, 20. It's not a lot for a player of Højbjerg's quality. We let his contract drag out. He devalued. It was just really, really frustrating in the end. So, Lois has got involved in the comments to say, agree, it's so frustrating that we're bickering over a few million. It is. And I think, if it's 5-10 million, okay, go for it. But as I said, if it is just 2 or 3 million, you just have to accept. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. We want to move Emerson Royal on. It's good for all parties. It works for him. AC Milan are keen. Let's get it done before, 12 million turns into 0 million when the deal doesn't go through. Something's better than nothing. That's the way you've got to look at things with these type of players. And Barney supports Lois and says, it's a classic case, Lois, isn't it? Clubs haggling over a few million. We've seen that before. We have, and Spurs have done that and not shifted the player. We've done that before. With Højbjerg, Fulham, I didn't go through, I don't think, because we're haggling a few million. But there's so many times with different players where transfers haven't gone through, whether it's players coming into the club, whether it be Jack Grealish, Willian, Hazard, or trying to shift players. Højbjerg, it's always a pain. A few million or so. Sports Agenda says, I'm afraid if we keep haggling about 2 or 3 million, he might leave for free. And if I'm being totally honest with you, I think he will. I think this will drag on. But AC Milan are keen. That is the good thing, that I suppose. And it's nothing against Royal. I think he's always done a job when he's come in, but I don't think he's right for where our ambitions are under Ange Postecoglou. Spencer's impressive as well. So I think if we get money for him, we have to move it on. I love Richarlison. A lot of you guys that have watched the channel for a while will know that I've always defended Richarlison. However, if you're getting back from Saudi what you roughly pay for him, whether it be 50, 55, 60 million, you have to take it. You really do, because no other club's going to play that. He's really a 25 million player, 25 million player, if that. We overpay for him. And if we can get back something we paid for him, just take it and bring someone in for maybe even less. We could bring Tony in for less. That's funny that. How funny is that? Ivan Tony less than Richarlison. But we have to shift him, and we have to use Saudi Arabia in the right way. Say to Lo Celso, he's our best midfielder. Convince Bayern. Look, we convinced Bayern that Eric Dyer was our best centre-back. If you speak to Bayern fans, they're genuinely convinced that Eric Dyer is and still would be Tottenham's best centre-back. We know maybe a few years ago, not in the last few years has that ever been the case, and it won't be the case. We know that as Spurs fans. So we can trick Saudi Arabia and go, Richarlison's the best striker in the league. They've got the money. We know that. So if we're clever, we can get 100, 150 million at least of player sales and players like Richarlison, Lo Celso, Emerson, providing they want to go there. The last story before we wrap up for today and go through your comments and if you have any questions, and that is one for Fulham fans. There's a couple in the chat, and that is Ryan Sessegnon joins Fulham as a free agent since we've done the last show. So the question is, why didn't it really work out for Sessegnon? Well, firstly, we had a few different managers, but I think the main problem is he had a lot of injury problems. I don't think playing him in that left wing back slot was right under Conte. I understand why he'd done it, but I think it was asking to do a lot defensively. I think personally, in my opinion, led to his injuries and it just led to a few problems. But he's a player that is always, his career so far has been impacted by injury. So it's a shame that it didn't work out. But as that comment says there, just going to get onto it. Marco Silva has a reputation of getting the best out of players like that. And someone like Dele Alli, I look at and I go, Marco Silva can get the best out of him, or Sean Dyche, that type of manager that always get the best out of players when you just don't think it's going to work. So I don't think the Sessegnon is going to be a regular starter for Fulham unless he hits the ground running. I think that he's there to offer competition, whether it be to Robinson for his left back slot, but also on the wing for Willian, for Andres Pereira, those kind of position. Harry Wilson. It's just a player to bring in. It's free of cost. It makes sense. And as that comment says there from a member of my team at Scarfy Spurs, that we wish him all the best as a channel where he can unite and say that. And it's sad that he didn't work out. So Barney, do get involved in the comments below. Can you see him be a regular starter come match day 1, match day 2, match day 3? Or can you see him being an impact player off the bench, which I think he's more than capable of? There's a player there. I met the guy when I was at Spurs Training Centre. I was doing for my birthday, I got a youth development day where I was training as a goalkeeper. Really enjoyed it. I never did 1 minute. I think I could make it, but he came along, and that's fantastic. Really shy guy, but really nice to meet him. But as I said, a player who's been heavily impacted by injuries, so it's quite sad. Actually, the last thing I do want to touch on is Archie Gray, because Alistair Gold put out an interesting post last week that said the buzz around Archie Gray within Spurs is absolutely huge. Everyone raves about his talent as well as his personality, with a feeling that he could be the club's superstar for years to come if he continues his current trajectory. That's really, really positive. And I said before, we started in centre-back, the last couple of games in pre-season since we signed him, and, with Dragson's arrived now in South Korea, and hopefully Van der Merera back soon. We won't see that. With Archie Gray, what I will say is, as someone who wasn't that excited with the signing, I hold my hands up. I think Leeds fans are right. I've really liked what I've seen. I think there's a balance, not just Archie Gray, but with the youth. There's some Spurs fans going, start 3 or 4 of them against Leicester, but they're talking about starting 16-year-olds. I don't think that's right. I think loans or given the minutes when necessary off the bench is the right thing to do. You've got to use future in the right way. We haven't done that. We didn't do it with Dylan Makunde. We didn't do that with Troy Parrott, and I don't think we do that with Dane Scarlett. We don't loan them out when we need to. We don't give them minutes when they need to. And when we do give them minutes, we change the whole team. That disrupts the rhythm. So it's really frustrating. That's something the Spurs haven't got right. I think we've been producing the talent, a lot, and I think we're signing talent and we're producing talent. We can see that with Lancashire, etc. Mikey Moore, we're also producing that talent, but we've got to utilise it in the right way. And I think Lois is right. Archie Gray has bundles of potential, a future star, and it makes sense because he could be covering full-back positions, in particular that right back or right wing back, whatever you call it in this system slot. A bit like a midfielder, isn't it? Really, like a right midfielder more than a defender, but also can play in that midfield. I don't for 1 minute think that he's going to start 20, 25 games in the league season, but I think he's an option to have off the bench. And healthy competition is what this team needs, is what Maddison needs. And ultimately, I'm a strong believer that if we treat the Europa League seriously, and we haven't done that with competitions recently in the last few years, we didn't do it with the League Cup when we got knocked out with Fulham, and we haven't treated the Europa League or Conference League seriously in the last few years. If we do, I believe we can win it. So we need a strong, I'll say second team, but we need strong cover in every position. And Ronnie says Archie Gray's ready to start now midfield. Based on what we've seen, that would be the case. I don't think it's right to start him in every single game, but why not? At the same time, you should try things. But I'm absolutely not for starting Bergevall in that midfield yet, or Mikey Moore. And Mikey Moore looks generational. I'm going to put it out there. I think he is a generational talent. Really, really top guy, top athlete. Was it 6 goal contributions in the 4 pre-season games, including the first friendly, not including the pre-season, which was Cambridge United. He looks like a real talent, does Mikey Moore. But if you play them too often and too soon, look at Arsenal playing Bukayo Saka too much. I think he'd get injured and his career will get be held up. And that's the thing. You play a youngster too much, it can damage their career. And I think you've got to be careful with the way you use youngsters. But with Ryan Sessegnon, Barney says he'll be a great option off the bench. I hope he starts a few games too. And he goes on to say, if it let me bring it up, it's good. He's got some games with us to get some valuable minutes in friendlies. It is interesting to hear from Sports Agenda, who says there's no second team. It's just good enough player or not. I think so, but I think you need what I call cover competition in every position. You have to have competition in every position. I'm a strong believer, even goalkeeper, you have to have that if you want to treat two competitions seriously, which we have to be doing next year. I'm a very strong believer in that. Ronnie goes on to say Morenberg will bench option 100%. Absolutely, I completely agree. But Gray, where I will agree with you, Ronnie, whether I can't make my mind up whether he's ready to start now or not. But I can say we both agree that he's a real talent, and hopefully we do see him next season, wherever that will be. But if we do see him in cup competitions, I hope that Ange doesn't fall into the trap that other Spurs managers have, and he did against Fulham round 2 of the League Cup, and making 7, 8, 9, 10 changes and disrupting the rhythm. What we need to do, and I don't mind when we see that, but like so many times last season, whether it be Newcastle at home when the game's done, Sheffield United away when the game's done, or we went through an injury crisis, you play 1 or 2 youngsters, but what we do is we either don't give them an opportunity or give them an opportunity all at once where we can't see how they fit in. It needs to be the first team and 1 or 2 youngsters. So we see how they cope with the first team, how they cope with the first team Ange ball, and how they get on with teammates, the interlink, the chemistry. That's what we need to do, and something the club has failed to do, and the managers have ultimately failed to do. Whether it be above, I don't know. I completely agree. Big up Donna Cullen. I don't think for 1 minute is the actual Donna Cullen, but thank you very much for joining. Harry, then you need good players to be able to rotate, because the second team most times is a big gap. You look at quality, and that's been the problem for Spurs in recent years. That's a problem with Fulham round 2. It's been the problem. Dino Zagreb at the second team wasn't good enough, and when we brought the first team on, they weren't good enough either, and they didn't have enough time to impact. I'll never forget, I think it was under Antonio Conte, we played Morecambe at home. I could be completely wrong. I'm going to go with FA Cup, something like 3rd or 4th round. And we went 1-0 down. It was like the 82nd minute. We brought Lucas, Son and Kane on, and we won 3-1. But we had to do that. That second team wasn't good enough to beat League One Morecambe. That is really, really worrying. In fact, no, it just wasn't only not good enough to beat them. We would have lost to them as well. And I just find that very worrying. Thank you very much, Donna, for your kind words. Even at Spurs in 2016-17, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something we need to get better at, utilising the youth, improving the second team. And Ange Postecoglou, I'm a strong believer that his system is, you give him close to everything you want, or it doesn't work. Whereas with Conte and Mourinho, although they're serial winners, they will, I think, work with what they've got. Well, no, maybe I'm contradicting myself here. Maybe I'm not necessarily right. But I think Ange's system, let me word this in a different way, a better way. Ange's system requires top players to really work, in particular that defence with the high line, in particular up front. But I look at us now, and I look at us last season and go, we just couldn't get a second goal. We couldn't kill games. And fans saying we don't need a striker, I'm afraid I can't support that. And yes, we need good wingers as well. We have to focus on improving. If we didn't bring in left back cover, frustrating, not the end of the world. By all means, keep Reguilon or put someone through the youth academy. My priority is that front line. I think that we need 2 or 3 additions. I think we need one winger, and also a striker, whoever that may be. I love Sonny, but we can't rely on him to be getting the goals. And we can't rely on him to play that number 9 position. Ange's system, you have to kill the game, because he's never going to be good defensively. You can minimise that. Van der Ven, Romero, we've seen that. We leak goals. That's the way he plays. He leaves us exposed at the back. That's his philosophy. Kill the game, attack. You have to have good attackers to do that. The first time in Tottenham in my lifetime, I think, and certainly for a few years anyway, that our defence has been stronger than attack. If you look at under Jose Mourinho, under Antonio Conte, under Nuno Espirito Santo, under Maurizio Pochettino, the attack was stronger. And apart from Pochettino, they're all defensive style managers that have a better attack. Then we have an attacking manager, and we have a better defence. You just couldn't make it up. It's really frustrating, but that's just sometimes how it works out in football. That's just the way it works, honestly. Ronnie says, I'm waiting for these 3 incoming signings. Hope they're quality. Well, I hope it's a striker, a winger, and a left back cover. Guys, in the comments below. Let's say we brought in 3 players, which I believe we've heard. I think it's Paul O'Keefe or Alistair Gold. I can't quite remember. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ronnie. But who would you want them to be, guys? Let us know in the comments below. Sports Agenda's got a question saying, isn't that a fan issue as well? Because when we were linked to with, I don't know, Gimenez or Vlahovic, when we had Kane, some people were like, when will they play? Yes, and I think that you need two strong strikers. I think you do. I think that Man City, whether it be Aguero and Jesus, I think you. I know Jesus isn't in the world beater, but I think you have to have. And it hasn't got to be a Harry Kane and Ronaldo, a Harry Kane and Benzema. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a striker that can step in if your main striker got an injury. You can do a job. And your main striker should be able to get you 25, 30 goals a season, or at least 20. Should be able to get those goals. And at the moment, there's no one in that Spurs team who I believe can get more than 12 goals a season. And that's a little bit of a worry, if I'm totally honest with you. Like and subscribe, all of you. If you can, that'd be massively appreciated. If you don't like listening to me, you don't like my opinion, subscribe because of our excellent Scarfy Spurs team, whether it be the admins, putting in the thumbnails, or excellent guests we've got on. I can announce, there's a lot of you listening, so we've got Lee McQueen and Crackers on from Last Word on Spurs on the 26th of August at 7:45 p.m. So put that date in your diary. It's going to be a Last Word on Spurs collaboration, and I am really, really looking forward to that. Ronnie says, big up Donna, tell Mr. Levy to sign some top players. I will echo that, absolutely. Imagine if it was Donna Cullen. Ronnie, we've already signed top players, waiting for pre-season to end so we can announce them. Okay, I hope that's the case. I believe it when I see it. I think that kind of wraps us up nicely for today. A short live, but that is the transfer update. So a quick recap. David Pleat leaves Spurs after 2 decades, should I say, of service. Gil to Girona. Here we go. Expecting the green light this week. We got the green light. We've got the here we go. We're expecting an announcement this week. Emerson, a priority for AC Milan. And that's the one we're waiting for the green light on, and discussion ongoing as we speak. So do massively appreciate everyone who comes in. Get involved in the comments below. What do you think of these lives? Also, you have the weekly show like we do tonight, every Monday, 7:45 p.m. live on YouTube. But do you like these daily transfer news lives on top of that? Big up. Yeah, thank you very much for joining. Ronnie says, answer a question from earlier. I want Eze, Chiesa and Tony. I won't complain with that. If I had to choose 3 realistic, who would I go with? I'd go with Neto, Tony, and whoever left back cover. I'm not fast who that left back cover is, whether it be Alfie Doherty. I think has a lot about him going forward. I don't mind who it is, but I think Neto is a priority because he can play left or right side. I love Eze. It'd be a dream to bring Eze in, but I don't think that midfield needs strength. And unless he can play on that left-hand side of the front 3, actually, then maybe you do bring it in. That's a really good chat, Ronnie. I do like that. Don't need a left back. Davis can cover a doggy. Yeah, no, that's true. I think Davis maybe not so much in an Ange system, but if I had my Spurs team, that would be the case. But I think in Ange system, maybe it'll be slightly different. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. It's free to do so, and it helps the channel grow. Tune into the weekly podcast tonight, Monday, 7:45 p.m. I'm joined by 4 fabulous guests where I'll be discussing today's stories more in depth, previewing the Bayern game, previewing Wednesday's preseason game, and talking about preseason in general. So it'll be quite a long show, but it'll be a good one. So I appreciate if you can tune in. But for now, a massive come on you Spurs.
You were working as a manager at Celtic Park when we met you. We picked you out, you shook us up and turned us around. You've turned us into something new. Ange Postecoglou, you know that we believe it when you say you're gonna change it. Ange Postecoglou, we're the mighty Tottenham and nobody's gonna stop them. Oh, we look so fine in blue and lily white. And then he said to me, I'm from a land down under. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh, Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh.